come to see a gross miscalculation. It was a picture-perfect day in July of 1861, just outside Washington, D.C. The grass was warmed by the sun overhead. The trees seemed to reach for the sky, absorbing every ray from that star above. And people were streaming out of the city in mass, using every mode of transportation that the world at that point made available. Carriages and buggies and horses and many even on foot. They came to a spot and they set down blankets and they began to unpack their lunches in preparation for watching Union soldiers put down what they were certain would be a skirmish of just a few hours. The cannons opened fire, and the people responded to the heavy discharges as if it were a fireworks display on 4th of July. The oohs and the ahs drifting up into the air like the smoke that belched out of the dark, thick barrels of the Union and Confederate cannons. Right from the start, some of those cannons on both sides found their mark, as well as rifle shots. And all of a sudden it dawned on those people with their picnic lunches that this wasn't a game, that this was a fight to the death. The look of horror on their faces gave way to panic as suddenly they found themselves sitting there on their blankets, being trampled by Union soldiers in retreat. A gross miscalculation, a grave misunderstanding. St. Paul would say to us today, in no uncertain terms, that too many Christians today fail to grasp the magnitude of our present situation. That a battle rages all around us, not just around us, but within us, all of us. A battle to which most of us are just oblivious. The question is, well, why? Well, I have two ideas. The first thing is that when something awful happens in the world, like the massacre in New Zealand and now in Amsterdam, commentators are always quick to offer explanations. Just one of my pet peeves, being sarcastic, I just love how people are always experts after the fact. Of course, it was terrorism, or it was an act of a white supremacist. True enough. True enough. I don't argue those terms, their accuracy. But as a Christian who looks at the world through the lens of Scripture, I come to realize that they don't come close to touching the depth of what is really afoot in the world. Notice if you haven't yet, but notice the next time, because unfortunately, sadly, there will be a next time. If someone happens to say the word evil, well then those well-meaning, super intelligent, because we're just dumb, cultural elites, roll their eyes because such explanations are a bit too mystical and metaphysical and a little too supernatural. And of course, we all know that all that there really is, all that exists, are the stuff that can be seen and handled and weighed and measured and tabulated and analyzed. That's what's real, and that's what we should focus on. And of course, we all know that there might be some psychological issues at play as well. But as a great theologian has said, and you've heard this before, and I say this because it's true, psychology can explain a great deal of what goes on in the world. But it can't explain everything. It cannot explain everything. Adolf Hitler did not send 6 million Jews to the gas chambers because he had daddy issues. He didn't kill all of those people because he had repressed some aspect of his sexuality. There were people who on occasion found themselves in a room, in a sense, breathing the same air with Hitler and Himmler and Goebbels. And what they would tell you if you take the time to actually read what they have to say, is that there were times when there was something undeniably dark and sinister in that room. More than just those 3 or 4 people. Sometimes people have written, it was so palpable it would literally make your skin crawl. And the second reason, not unrelated to the first, is the fact that not just our culture, but we, all of us, myself included, but you too, all of us, we've turned the devil oftentimes into a kind of a joke. A guy in a really bad Halloween costume. Someone who shows up, yeah, right, on our left shoulder, not our right, and tells us, go ahead, reach in, go for it, do it. So long as he isn't taken seriously, Max Lucado writes, he's free to work his evil. Now at this point, it dawns on me that in all seriousness, this subject could be the source of of a lengthy dissertation, which isn't the point. Also, it is not the intention this evening of the preacher to fill your head and heart with paranoia. That's not what this is about. It's not to entice you to develop an unhealthy fascination with the dark and with the subject at hand. It's one of the things that happened, and I date myself, and some of you are right along with me, when the very first movie, The Exorcist, came out. There were an awful lot of people who developed an unhealthy fascination with the subject at hand. Neither is the purpose to hand you some ready-made excuse for those moments in life when you miss the mark, as I miss the mark, as we all do, and we say, the devil made me do it. But let me tell you something, and again, I date myself. That worked really well for Flip Wilson. Right?
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know who Flip Wilson is, you're lost. Thank God for you too. But one that doesn't necessarily get you off the hook. Suffice to say, we are not dealing with some superstition, some old and ancient idea that whose time has come and gone. But the scriptures testify, and I think the world around us testifies, to a power, a real power, not the equal of God, but a power, a prideful power that rebelled against God, an evil one that is real and personal, a power against life. The devil in Latin means one, the splitter, the divider, whose appeal, as we saw just a few moments ago, can be subtle and sophisticated, can be personal and intimate, who seeks to lead you away from God and from who you are and who you are called to be as a child of God. When it comes to the reality and the power of Satan, the New Testament rings with the certainty that the cross of Jesus has mortally wounded that serpent. But like a mortally wounded serpent, he thrashes about, and we see the impact, not just in Amsterdam or in Christchurch, New Zealand, but as some of us have been painfully reminded, not all that far from this church's front door. But the New Testament also rings with the certainty that though this power is real, its days are clearly numbered. In the meantime, in the in-between time in which we live, we can live with confidence, not in our own strength or in our own wisdom. What you saw demonstrated on the screen is at least proof enough to me that Jesus is made of stuff that you are not made of, nor I, for that matter. But we find our strength in the one who stood alone, all alone, in the wilderness against Satan, and in whom we can resist. We can say no, no. We say no in order to say a resounding yes to God, and a yes to God's gift of life. Greater is he who is in me than he who is in